My name is Hector McNeil. I'm co-founder and co-CEO of HANetf. Am I going to talk to you, yeah? Yeah, okay. So ETF white labelling is where you work with third-party asset managers who've got IP and brands, but don't want to necessarily build out all the spades and shovels to create ETFs. So we manage, create them, and issue them on their behalf. So if you're a smaller asset manager and you're going to try and create an ETF business from scratch, it's probably a 2 to 3 year journey to get to the start line. By coming to a white labeller, it's less than 10 weeks. As long as the strategy is UCITS compliant, we can get that into the Central Bank of Ireland, get it approved, and get it listed within 12 weeks. The most famous and long-term ones are robo and hacks, sort of robotics and cyber security. From our end, it's probably the Royal Mint, and the Royal Mint's Britain's oldest company. It's 1100 years old, set up by Alfred the Great in 889 to finance the Viking Wars. And really one interesting fact about the Royal Mint is Isaac Newton was the CEO there for 27 years, and he invented the first modern coin with serrated edges. So, that's a really great brand. It's got the most secure vault in the world, and we create a gold ETF that they issue through our platform that they wouldn't ordinarily be able to do themselves. So the ETF space has evolved massively in the last 2 decades, not just by the scale of the AUM. I mean, when I started the ETF market, it was about 200 billion globally, and it's about 11 trillion now. Bank of America expected to be 50 trillion in the next 10 years, which is just insane. I always say that my mum can go use her Invest Engine account, buy any asset class she wants. In the past it used to be very straightforward, FTSE 100, S&P 500s. Now she can go and buy Yoda, a space ETF. She can buy uranium miners, she can buy NATO, the future defence, or even tech megatrend products. So I think it's that democracy that's the real change. 2024 is going to be a really interesting year, I think, for thematics. It's been a tough couple of years with effectively growth equities coming off the table, but I think it's going to be hard to see further than commodities and resources, particularly uranium sector. That did very well last year. I think it's going to do well this year. I think defence-related products are going to be really important. Obviously, with the geopolitical crisis going on around the world, I think people will need to have some form of exposure to that. And then I think tech is going to come back into play. I think equal weighting makes a massive sense. We had the big rise of the Magnificent Seven last year, and I think you're going to see that broaden out and populate a lot more technology stocks going forward. So I would look in the equal weighting world for the tech stories. Those are the big 3 areas I think for this year. So to me, it's an incredible industry. I mean, I've stuck at it pretty much since the start. And I think that I've been lucky to have founded and owned and created 4 different ETF brands, from ETF Securities, Boost, to WisdomTree Europe, to HANetf. And also with my business partner Nick. Han stands for Hector and Nick. It's as simple as that. We've issued over 650 ETPs in that time, which is just over 8% of every product on the planet. So when you've had a footprint like that, there isn't anything you haven't been involved in or touched, whether it's we created the world's first gold ETF, the world's first oil ETF, the world's first platinum palladium. All these things I think are really, really personal to me and Nick, and are sort of stages on the road, not just for the ETF industry, but for ourselves as well. One interesting stat I always use as well, when we create the platinum palladium products, we actually own more platinum palladium than anybody on the planet at one point with the products we had there. So, it can be a real world experience as well when you're in this industry.